Before I begin, I kind of wanted to say a medical disclaimer that any advice that I give is obviously not from a doctor. This is from my own personal experience in working with people in my day-to-day life with fasting. So you can inquire more information with a consult or anything like that, and you can see this as non-medical advice. And the reason why we're here actually for this live stream is because these are day one fasters, day one people who are just completing the first 12 hours of fasting. So we are kind of doing like a frequently asked questions here just to kind of coach people through this process and support them and encourage them along the way. I want to give a shout out to Naomi. She's somebody who just completed a 9-day dry fast out of nowhere, and we kind of worked together along the way, and she went from 0 to 9 days and smoothly went through it. She's a yoga instructor in the UK and just completely demolished it, and she has kids and stuff too, so it's possible. You can do 9 days off the bat, but I wouldn't recommend it. She's a beast pretty much. I also wanted to say like a story to start off this whole thing, just so it can get everyone to come into the chat and say hi to some people. But yeah, one of the biggest obstacles for people in dry fasting is family and friends. And to kind of give you an example of me getting through that, I was kind of healing some intense things on a Thanksgiving. So imagine going through a dry fast and your family comes into the town you're in for Thanksgiving is like, we want to eat a lot of food with you. And I'm trying to heal like a few different autoimmune conditions, and they're wondering where I'm going to be for Thanksgiving. And I'm already on day 11 of a dry fast, and I have ambition to do 15 days on the dry fast. And so pretty much no one knows what dry fasting is at this point. So like I'm kind of like doing a lot of meditation and prayer about this. I'm like, what do I do? About this thing? I feel like I heard God say like, it doesn't matter. Like he's just like, just do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, crap. So I'm just gonna dry fast through Thanksgiving. So I went to Thanksgiving dinner on day 11 of a dry fast, looking like a skeleton homeless person. And everyone's kind of like, okay, who's the weirdo in the room? So they won't like talk to me about it too much because I know I can just defend it, and I'm just kind of very headstrong in my pursuits. I'm like, hey, you wanted me to come to Thanksgiving dinner? This is what it looks like. So I was like down like 40 pounds at that point, and I actually persevered through it to day 15. And ever since then, all of my family members, I have 6 kids in my family, they've pretty much all have started dry fasting to a capacity, some of which have even done 5 days. So what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to field questions for people who are dry fasting currently. And the first one I see is Center for Yoga out in Chicago. I'm going to pin your question so I can answer it, so everyone can know what I'm answering. What's up, Kelvin Mockingbird? So there's the best flutist in the entire world. I'm not sure if he's still in the chat, but he's literally watching this video, which is amazing. Kelvin, I have to tell you, like you get me through really hard times on dry fast. If I'm going like 20 days, you play it so soulfully. It makes me like feel completely grounded, and it feels like it's just kind of like an exploration of suffering and joy of the world, and it gets me through these really dark, deep times on dry fast. Your music is pretty powerful for me. So Center for Yoga says, can you talk about the sun exposure during a dry fast? Yeah, so I've seen that this has been circulating a lot recently on Instagram, how people are kind of saying like the revelation of the longer you can be in the sun, the better off your health is. So if you're not able to be in the sun for that long, that pretty much means that your skin and you're just like a toxic person. You're not like a good backboard for it. Your skin isn't like a solar panel like it should be for the sun. So I think with sun exposure, you shouldn't have too much of it during a dry fast because your body is supposed to auto-regulate temperature. So your body will increase its temperature naturally to kind of kill off viruses like it does through a fever or a flu or a cold. And then when you're kind of utilizing too much sun during a dry fast, say you were like in Mexico and it's like 100 degrees, your body's like is kind of mixed up a little bit. So if you're having too much sun exposure, say above like 2 hours, it can be a little bit confusing for the body to auto-regulate temperature. You should be able to stare into the sun as well for alternate energy as well. So that's a good thing to do. You can't get sunburn after day 5 of a dry fast. Your body has gone through the proteins on your skin, so it's pretty much able to absorb sunlight a lot more efficiently. So I'd say like go into the sun for 2 hours or less, I would say, for each day of the dry fast. I even go as little as 10 minutes sometimes at a time, and I kind of go in and out. I'm not just constantly, because it can drain you. It can give you energy, but it can also take energy as well if you have too much of it. That's why like the most successful dry fasters are in Russia. There's like very little sunshine, so they really take advantage of it for when it actually is there. The next question I have here is Dana Nicole says, tips for dizziness, lightheadedness anytime I go longer than 15 hours. So yeah, what ends up happening during the first 2 days of your dry fast is that your blood pressure starts going down, but also your glucose in your blood starts going down as well. So you can experience a little bit like lightheadedness. And that's why I always overemphasize the potassium intake, because the potassium is kind of like a vehicle. It carries your blood more efficiently to the brain. So think about this, like if you're in a boxing match and somebody gets like some head trauma and they experience a little bit of injury, your blood wants to go to your brain to fix what just happened. But if they can't get there fast enough, that's when a person experiences a knockout. So they fall to the ground. It's as if like a switch hit and they fall to the ground because the blood can't get there fast enough. So how can you accentuate this process? It's by cleaning the blood as much as you can before the fast. That's why clean people fast longer, because their blood is already very, there's no clotting really, so it can pass very freely. So for dizziness, I would suggest like breathing, just chill, like lay down and breathe through the nose, do some nose breathing exercises, but also prepare a little bit better. So having like a toxic colon, like unclean colon, can cause a lot of protein buildup in the blood, and it can restrict blood flow, so it can cause dizziness. But also lack of hydration before your fast can cause dizziness as well. So make sure you get high potassium juices before you embark on a dry fast. Quite like celery is a really good one, sugarcane juice is really good, coconut water is really good. Just like overdose on these things so that your body can absorb all these juices and hydration. So what ends up happening with like fruitarians is that they end up having a higher water content than we do. Like people who are not fruitarians, which I'm not. I'm just a raw foodist pretty much. So they'll end up being like, they can get upwards of like 70 to 80% water content in their body, when someone who's not a fruitarian can get as low as like 50 to 60%, much lower state of water supply. Hey Joan, how you doing? Next question I see, here's Vivian. Vivian says, most times I get nauseous after 48 hours of dry fast. Why is that, and what would you recommend? So the nausea usually 90% of the time comes from too much. See, like dry fasting is really effective. It'll dump off a lot of work that it's done in the blood and the colon. So it can be a little nauseating, rather than a juice fast, which would be like day 55 to like day 65. It'll start dumping off these things, and then your body can handle it, but it's a lot longer to take. So you're experiencing it on 48 hours. So what ends up happening is a lot of times it's the colon just not being cleaned enough. Like nausea usually always kind of stems from the intestines. So you kind of want to make sure you clean your colon really thoroughly. That's why I'm always like, I don't want to post these stories about enemas, and it's disgusting, right? Like no one, like everyone's like, this is pretty gross. But you need to understand that's the best way to clean the colon and get like a healthy mind and healthy body, so you're not experiencing these nauseous states. So I'll do like 5 sessions of colon cleansing. Like this morning I did 5, which is 64 ounces, 5 times in a row. So the first 3 sessions I'll do like coffee and lemon, and then the last 2 I'll do just lemon water. A lot of colonics, colon hydrotherapists just use water, like nothing at all. So you don't need to infuse it with much at all. So make sure you get your colon squeaky clean, because that's exactly where the nausea comes from. I've had people who don't do it at all and they throw up. They'll throw up on day 5. It's because they have a very unclean colon and they're feeling that sickness, that residual residue that kind of comes from it. Hey, fruit of the spirit. Andrea says, can you discuss, once again guys, I'm pinning all the questions that I'm answering on this live stream so you guys can view it. Can you discuss getting body work like deep tissue massage right before breaking the fast? Yeah, this is kind of an interesting concept. So it's perfectly coming after the nauseous question, because you can actually push toxicity for your body to deal with prematurely by getting massages. And like working on your tissues, because it'll dump off a lot of the things that it needs to work on into the blood and into the colon and make you nauseous. But it's definitely very beneficial if you can handle it. There's a reason why massage therapists tell you to drink water after your massage, because it can be very dehydrating. You're kind of losing a lot of water content. So pushing around your tissues can be kind of burdensome. It can force your body to deal with too much too soon. But if you're ready to receive a massage, it can be very beneficial. Yeah, so like that one guy, there's one guy on Instagram, I'm not sure if you guys follow him, his name is Elatom Elamin. So people claim that he actually is a true breatharian, and he's obsessed with massages. He's massaging himself, he's massaging dogs, and he feels like that's further assisting the process of dissolving blockages, because that's all dry fasting is doing. It's dissolving blockages in the body. So blood clots, cancers, tumors, anything that's kind of causing blockages, fasting will just go right through it and eat right through it. That's exactly why I have this account, and I'm talking about this now, because it's something that no one really knows, but people need to know about this so they can heal diseases and sicknesses. So this one person says, tips with dry fasting while working and bad breath. Yeah, you want to ease into it. See what you're able to handle. So like I said before, always make sure the colon is very clean before you embark on a dry fast. But so it'll be a lot easier. You won't feel tired during a dry fast. So you want to take it easy. Do 16 hours at first, then 24, then 2 days, and see what you're able to handle. So then you can ease into these environments where you can work. I'm working up until like day 11, and at that point, I'm just enjoying myself. So anything after day 11 for me, it's just for me. I'm gonna just do whatever the hell I want to do. The bad breath usually happens because of bacteria is rotting and fermenting in your colon, so they're dying off, and you're smelling that from your gastrointestinal tract. It's not just your mouth, it's your entire intestines you're smelling with bad breath. So this is the cool part, your breath becomes sweet, and it becomes clean, because you're having a mass, pretty much a mass genocide of all the bacteria in your body, so that you're able to recapture your true nature and not be influenced by bacteria. A lot of people have these food addictions, and they have emotional issues that come up, and it's because of the bacteria overpopulation in their body. So by day 12 or day 11, some people earlier, they can get a good breath again. There's no bad breath anymore, and they're back to just kind of not scaring people off with their insanely horrible breath. Would I recommend a dry fast for a 16-year-old? So like I said in the beginning of this video, nothing I say is medical information, but I would do it, everything I say is what I would do personally and what I have assisted other people with in the process. So 16-year-old is the cutoff for what's okay with dry fasting. Even according to Dr. Filanov, he says 16 years old is okay. There's other things you can do depending on what they're dealing with to kind of make the symptoms go down to nothing before they're ready for a dry fast. But it seems like such an unnatural process, this whole dry fasting, but really since prehistoric times we've been dry fasting from earlier than 16 years old. Would I dry fast my kids before 16? I probably would do very intermittent dry fasting. I wouldn't embark on anything outrageous. But yeah, depending on the issue, Clarage, just DM me and tell me what he's dealing with, and we can go from there. Tips for, okay, we already answered that question for tips for fasting while working a physical job. Good to see you, Dana. Okay, I see. Andaz says, I feel devoid of energy after 50 hours. Okay, so you will feel that because so if you look on Google, they say how long can you live without food and water? They say 3 days you can live without food and water. But this is literally what we're doing here in a group. There's hundreds of us fasting right now. Just a basic fast of 3 days dry fast. And that's what they say you die with online. So it's pretty insane. So we're just kind of essentially proving that wrong right from the very start. So what ends up happening, why they think that is because that's the first adaptation in your body. So you adapt into fat burning mode with the first 3 days. So after 50 hours, that's essentially when you're deeply into ketosis. So you want to just ride it out and let your body start producing these ketones for you. And just go to work for you. So you're into fat burning mode, and this is essentially what people want to get to. So there's a lot of toxicity in your fat storage, and getting into this point is very important. So your urine will actually get like gradually darker up into this point, and then will get lighter again because your fat storage has fresh, clean, new water that's ready to be used as hydration. So the next question is, Jordan says, so to kind of finish off that answer, just get through it. Just know it ends. It goes away like at day 3.5. So like hour 50 to hour 76 is like, it's like 26 hours of just like not fun. It's like ketosis isn't a fun adaptation. So Jordan says, how do I heal with the thick coat that gets on my tongue during dry fasting? So if you look at one of my earlier posts, you can see that I really advocate like tongue scraping. So you're kind of discarding a lot of bacteria on the tongue and assisting with the process of cleaning out candida and stuff like that. So you want to do that process with a copper tongue scraper, and you also want to just know that it gets worse, honestly. It gets worse at like day 6 and then day 7, and then like all the way to day 6 to day 12, it's pretty much like getting just whiter and whiter and whiter, because your saliva kind of creates a little bit of blood sugars, so your bacteria, the candida, will allocate towards your mouth area, quite like a lot of parasites will as well. So it just kind of, you deal with the thick coat by just scraping it and just kind of getting through it. That's part of the gist. Like a lot of people fast just to get the candida to go away. So water fasting is just like dry fasting. You can get through this very quickly with both fasts. You can get over candida like in 21 days on a water fast, and it takes about like 14 days on a dry fast. But most everybody has candida. Next question we found here is Eating for Spirit. Eating for Spirit says, it takes me a while to have a normal digestion after fasting. Is this normal, and how long should it take to get back to having bowel movements? So pretty much you want to eat foods that cater towards repopulating your bacteria in a healthy way. I'm not sure what foods you're breaking on, but hopefully they're not like unhealthy processed foods, because your body just transitioned to its normal natural state, and now it's time to eat like raw living foods again. So you want to you can reinstigate digestion. Like normally in Russian literature it says to drink a green smoothie, like a green cabbage smoothie, because cabbage is like known to heal the colon, and it'll actually help instigate digestion a lot better after a dry fast. So you want to pretty much eat like fermented coconut yogurt. Green cabbage smoothies are really good to do this, and pretty much just you can do some like an enema after like a fast that's shorter than 7 days, and that'll clean out some things. But the metabolism slows down, but it'll amp back up if you just kind of involve some foods that are kind of that slide on through a little bit easier, like mangoes and oranges and fruits. Transition from fruits into like the more carby foods. Don't start off with carbs right after a fast, because it's going to create like a traffic jam. You want to create like more of like a slip and slide kind of effect with fruits. So the fruit of the spirit says, thanks, you are awesome for sharing all the information. Yeah, I think it's weird to do these things while I'm dry fasting as well, but I think it's only fair. I mean, like it's have you been in like a yoga class where like the instructor doesn't do the work in front of you and this is just commanding you? It's not as engaging. I want the teacher and the instructor to do exactly what I'm doing, otherwise it's not as fun. I'm on day 1 of a dry fast. I'm feeling great. I had a colonic before and ate watermelon and apples and lots of water. Okay, awesome. That's exactly what you should do. Andrea says, I'm planning on getting the deep tissue and the cranial sacral therapy back to back before breaking my fast. Do that. Awesome. Definitely do that. Okay, so here's another question from Be Fruitful. Be Fruitful says, I get plugged ears a lot during dry fasting. Do you recommend ear candling? So I remember you actually saying this in your comment before, and ear candling, it's very tempting to do these things. Like in my first fast, I would want to help my body assist the process any way I possibly could. But it's kind of like one of those things, you just have to be patient and like wait for your body to get to it. Like your body will get through that stagnant lymph in your ears. So like when people have like It's the same thing as like eye boogers and like actual snot in your nose, and then the ears kind of get gooked up as well. Like this is what lymphatic stagnation looks like outside of the body. So you can take it when you like clean out your ears. That's what lymphatic stagnation looks like. So before I start fast, sometimes I'll kind of like I'll clean out my ears with like like you can put like these hydrogen peroxide based drops in your ears and let it sit. And then there's like some things that your local Walgreens will give you that'll kind of loosen up the wax a little bit, and then just use a very hot water and like a bulb and kind of squirt it into your ears. You can even use a water pick for your teeth and squirt that into your ears until like you get a lot of that ear wax out of your ears. So eventually it'll kind of dislodge, and it'll kind of give you an upper leg on the fast before you start, so that it doesn't build up too much. But just know that if you went long enough on the fast, I'm not gonna say like how long, but like it eventually goes away. Like when I got to day 12, I remember just feeling like a pop, like it's as if your body just finds the time to finally pull it through to your lymphatic system, and it's like, oh, I can hear again, I can see, I can think. Like it's just pulling more and more lymph throughout your body, and it gets around to it. Sadly, it doesn't get around to your ears until like later in the fast. But congrats on your 8 or 9 day dry fast you did recently. That was pretty badass. How you doing, Fenagina? My age limit for any age limit for dry fasting? So this person says any age limit for dry fasting. So I kind of go according to what I've read in Russian literature, which means 16 years to, I think it's 80 years old. But I mean, I'm honestly going to dry fast beyond 80 years old. Am I going to save this live? I'm not sure if I'm going to. This is just for everybody who's watching it now. And I just want to kind of put this information out there and answer some questions. But I might. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. What if it starts? Okay, so Fruit by the Spirit says, what if it starts to hurt to breathe on a dry fast? What does that indicate? I'm not sure what you mean by hurting to breathe. I think that if you were to that sounds like stress, honestly. Like when I have like pain in the lungs, it means that like I have anxiety or stress that's occurring. And I usually just kind of like chill. Usually I have back pain, like it's in the back of my lungs and the front of my lungs. So you want to kind of just relax and just do some breathing exercises, deep breathing, because it's, in my opinion, it's kind of like your lungs are like, give us more oxygen, you're not breathing enough. Because when you're in a stressful state, you consistently will hold your breath, actually. So if you ever think about when you're anxious, like you don't really breathe too often. So your lungs are kind of like, hey, breathe. Like there's no other way to tell you, it's not audible. So it's like, you need to kind of learn to fill your lungs all the way to the bottom with oxygen and kind of like wake it back up and give it what it wants, which is oxygen. That's the only answer I have for that. Do you notice your eyes lightening, clearing up? Do you notice your eyes lightening and clearing up each dry fast, says Elizabeth? I absolutely do notice this. If you live a fasting focused lifestyle, your eyes will start to get a lot clearer. And it's really fun to do like an iridology thing where people examine your eyes and what's going on there, because you start to detox mucus in the eyes, you start to detox all sorts of organs in the body, and your eyes will show this. And so you'll get clearer and clearer eyes. And I said this in my previous live streams, that you're more trustworthy when people can see that you're clean, and they just innately know this without even like being conscious of it. So that you can look in someone's eyes and it's very clear brown eyes, very clear blue eyes. They're more trustworthy because they're not as hijacked by bacteria and parasites, because your eyes are actually connected to your brain. So it's kind of like telling you what your brain's thinking without even like saying anything. So like your lymphatic fluid is also in the whites of your eyes too. So a lot of times people's vision can be compromised by having like mycoplasmas or mucous microorganisms that are kind of proliferating in the body, and they also make sure your eyes are also compromised. So when you clean your body, your eyesight should get better as well. I'll usually get 20/20 vision by day 5, but it's good to kind of get the mucous microorganisms out of that body altogether, so that you are able to see 20/20 vision and get all your senses completely awakened. Your sense of smell is out of control. That's one thing I wish all of you guys can experience. Like if you get too deep into a dry fast, your sense of smell is actually more of a spiritual sense than people might think, because it awakens so much more information in your body, and you can kind of smell a person, you can smell a place, and it's giving you more information. But yeah, your eyes definitely lighten up. So people with like really like stressed out red veiny eyes, I always want to put them on a dry fast because they would just rectify those issues and just kind of clean out all that stagnant waste going on in the body. How you doing, Ezgi? Thanks for answering. So the next question I have here is, hi Trevor, do you do private coaching? Yeah, there's people that have even come to my house that I've coached them on up to 7-day dry fast. There's a couple people I'm talking to now with tumors that I might get them more hands-on with. I might even fly to them so that I can coach them through a long fast so that we can dissolve the tumor completely and do this the right way. I offer private coaching. If you go to my link in the bio, you can see you can schedule a consult and I can give you a lot more thorough analysis one-on-one. Also in the link in the bio is I just started like this group chat. So it's on Telegram, so you guys can say whatever the hell you want on there and it's not censored or filtered. And we can just kind of continue on with more dry fasting information, especially those who are dry fasting beyond 3 days. There's a link in my bio to get into this Telegram group, and then we can all kind of form a community there together. The Inside Society says, I live in a partial food desert. And fresh vegetable is hard to get, expensive. Is there anything I can have before a 3-day dry fast? Damn, I guess you are. I've never really heard of someone being in a place where they don't have any fruits or vegetables. So what do you have in a desert? There must be a way to kind of get, there must be a way to get some fruits and vegetables where you're at. I think that like it would be worth just kind of like, you'll save money by juice fasting. So fasting saves you money. So you can save money by juice fasting and start accumulating fruits and vegetables to prepare yourself for a dry fast. So you kind of start hoarding fruits and vegetables because you're saving money by living a more fasting focused lifestyle. And so therefore you're able to kind of hoard enough food for the dry fast. It's hard to really answer that question, honestly. So Justy says, when doing a 3-day dry fast, what physical activity do you recommend? Is walking the most one should be doing? So some people are badasses. Like some people, I'll do hardcore exercises during a 3-day dry fast. Like I'll go to the gym and just do cardio, and I've been doing fasting for a long time. So if you feel the need to rest and take it easy and just do stretching and walking, then that's the best thing to do. If you're going beyond 3 days, I'm not really doing much working out at all. I'm really taking it easy. I'm kind of figuring out where my body's at. I'm walking slowly, I'm acting slowly, I'm resting, I'm doing a lot of stretching. So like after a 3-day dry fast, you really should be kind of like still moving the body, but like being a lot more aware of where the state of the body is in. So with a 3-day dry fast, you kind of wanna like, you can still work out, but you shouldn't be doing anything too intense. There's also like some crazy Russians out there that are doing intense activities deep into a dry fast, but those people have different firmware, in my opinion, than the rest of us. It's crazy. Some people are just really, really mentally strong out there. What about dry brushing during it? Okay, so that's another thing of like, so this person says, what about dry brushing the skin during the fast? So that can be good. So the topic of the day seems to be kind of like skin health and dry fasting. And the body will essentially dry brush itself with the fast. It's going to eat your proteins on your skin, any like substance that shouldn't be there, just like it's doing in your kidneys and your liver. It's dissolving blockages once again. So the dry brushing can be beneficial, and it's kind of like a massage. You can assist the process, but just be ready for some nausea possibly, and some more hardcore Herxheimer reactions, which is just like you might be asking for more than you hope for during that. So just do it lightly and see how you go about it, and then after that, you can do it more extensively, I'd say. But it definitely will work. It's beneficial, just like a massage would be. Earth, Wind, and Water says, after my last fast, I got really sick for 2 days with flu-type symptoms and other weird symptoms like migraines. I guess that's what my body is full of warning against stuff in it. So this person says that they got sick with 2 days after their fast. So being sick is actually a very strange thing, but because everyone usually thinks externally, they're like, where did I get this from? But at the end of the day, like most of the time, it's just that something already was existing within the body that's that's now awakened, and now it's kind of like it's transporting around the body because your immune system's temporarily down. So now it could be something that already exists within you, and that's what that usually shows. So like whenever someone fasts and they get really sick afterwards, it's because they have something. You just piss something off in the body, and it's showing you that it wants to stay in there, and it's kind of like it doesn't have the usual bedding that it used to. It's kind of like finding like a fish on the bottom of the ocean. It's kind of like they didn't expect you to see it, but then you kind of like walked across it, and it kind of starts floating around. That's kind of like a parasite, and what happens in the body during a dry fast as well, because you'll kind of unruffle the feathers, and if you don't go far enough, these things can still proliferate in the body. So you want to really figure out how to go deeper and deeper in these water fasts or dry fasts in a safe way to not get sick after you finish fasting. But it's information for you. So just look at it, dissect these moments when you're feeling sick after a fast, and it'll tell you more about what's already in your body and how to fight it more efficiently. That's exactly what I did. I had 3 different sicknesses, so all of them are doing this after I finished fasting. So you wanna kind of download this information and what's going on in your body after you fast, and act accordingly. So this person says, love yourself more. That's their name. And they said, I'm a teacher and is wondering if DR could be done while working. I guess she meant dry fasting. And would it be best to start and on a Wednesday? You can start whatever day, whatever time you want. If I'm going to be completely, the way I want to start it is like usually at 8 a.m. Like I'm starting at 8 a.m. because you fall asleep and you wake into the next day. So you just wake up and you're like, oh, I'm already on day 2. I'm already on day 3. But you kind of want to take it slow and see what you're able to handle during working. Wednesday can be a good time. Depends on how long you're planning on going. So it doesn't really matter the time or day. As a matter of fact, fasting kind of makes you have a weirder relationship with time because time slows down and you stop kind of caring about what. If you're trying to go long, you cannot think about the amount of days you're going. You have to think. It's a feeling state. That's the really important thing that I found that all these elite dry fasters do. They think in terms of feeling, not in terms of time. So therefore, they're able to keep persisting and pursuing to the next day if they feel good enough to do so. Instead of thinking like, oh my God, I have 12 more days left to go. And sometimes it'd be very daunting. I'd be like, I want to go 20 days. I'm only on day 8. So imagine that. Like you're on day 8 without food and water, and you want to go to day 20. You're like, I have 12 more days. Oh my God, like I need to just chill out, take it easy, and take it bit by bit here. So NG Alazuzi says, if this is my first dry fast, should I push for more than 3 days if I feel able to do so, or would I need to prep longer? So I think that just like I just said, if it's a feeling state. So if you feel good, it's a safe sign to go further. In my opinion, obviously this is not medical advice, so you're responsible for your own body. But in Russian literature with dry fasting, they usually say you should do the amount of days that you set out to do, and no less and no more. So you kind of want to set a goal for yourself. You have all the time in the world to do this afterwards. So don't think that this is the last fast of your life. Like you just figured out this tool, and now it's time to do it again afterwards. When your body's going to get cleaner and cleaner with each and every fast to kind of make this process a little more easier. Prepping longer for the long dry fast that go longer than 7 days is very essential. But yeah, I'd say that if you feel good and your heart is good and your kidneys feel good, and you're pretty mobile, it's definitely safe to say that you can push forward and move on. So pretty much in a dry fast, if there's one rule of thumb, it's listening to your heart figuratively and literally. You want to, if you feel like just emotionally burdened and you feel like you don't want to go any farther, like it's okay, break the fast. And also literally, if you feel like your heart is not able to take much, it's having a hard time pumping because the blood is too thick, then that's also time to break the fast as well, and kind of like allow that toxic sludge to leave the body. So that'll happen through when you break the fast as well, and then your blood will be cleaner, so you can go a little bit farther the next time. So this person says, are you measuring the blood pressure and heart rate? If so, how often, or when you're feeling symptoms? Yes, all of the above. I'm measuring the blood pressure and heart rate throughout the fast. Whenever I feel like it's time, I want to see where I'm at, or if I feel kind of like my heart just raised a little bit, where am I at here? Oh, it's 85 beats per minute. That's still okay. And I do it every single morning. So I do a journal log every time I wake up. I check my blood pressure, I check my heart rate, and I log it, and I weigh myself. So those 3 factors are always in my journal every single day. You will look back at your journal, and this will help you in future fasts. And just kind of write down what you dreamt that night. Write down how you're feeling at that morning. And you can also check in again in the evening and write more in the journal. So yeah, like for your sake, write all this stuff down. And you literally are just becoming your own doctor without knowing it, really. So I do it at all times, when I'm feeling symptoms and when I'm not feeling symptoms. It's just a matter of how often you want to do it, because it'll tell you more so about, because it's further communication with your body, because now you're able to break the fast a little bit more effectively, because you're like, oh, I do feel like I want to break the fast, and my heart rate's at 110 beats per minute. So therefore, I'm kind of confirming. This is a double confirmation for me to break the fast. So this person says, love yourself, more candles. I experience excruciating pain. Okay, I experience excruciating pain in my legs after 2-3 days. What could that mean? So ironically enough, this is something that a lot of people don't know. That your thighs actually carry a lot of toxicity. They carry a lot of acids, and just think of it like, what's the most meaty part of your body? It's your thighs. Like, they have the most fat, they have the most muscle. So where would you be if you were trying to be a parasite or microorganism? You probably reside mostly in the thighs, but your body does dump off a lot of the acids in your thighs as well. So it's just pretty much like a surplus of lactic acid buildup in your thighs during the fast. So you want to kind of, so one time I did I was planning on doing like a 20-day dry fast. And this is before I ever had an account. And I can only make it 13.5 days. And I was really compromised with walking. And I had the same thing, excruciating pain in my legs. And I realized it was a complete surplus of acid buildup. And so I broke the fast. I waited a week and a half, and I re-engaged, and that blockage wasn't there anymore. There was no more acids in my thighs. Your body dumped it off, and I was able to achieve my goal, which was a longer fast. But don't be pushy with it. Like, just make sure you just dump it off. Just dump it off and re-engage in the fast, and you'll find that you'll have less acids in the body. As a matter of fact, a lot of fighters, like MMA fighters, will actually unknowingly fast before their fight because they got to lose a whole bunch of weight. And they, without knowing it, they're dumping off a lot of lactic acid that would have debilitated them during the fight. Because lactic acid is exactly what makes you tired, is that feeling that you get when you're like, okay, I want to stop running. And that's what's in your legs right now. Are you measuring your blood pressure? Okay, I already answered that. Healing crisis. I don't know what that means. Will a dry fast eat up? Okay. Will the dry fast eat up acne scars, or will a water fast? So the difference between, I'm about to make a post about this because I think this is a really good topic. What's the difference between dry fasting and water fasting, and why would I ever dry fast over water fasting? Dry fasting literally engages in autophagy a lot more efficiently than water fasting. It's everything that water fasting does, dry fasting just does more exponentially, pretty much. So especially healing the skin. So I did something called combo, which kind of is like this frog poison thing when I was trying to heal myself with all sorts of weird stuff. And so I did frog poison on my arm, and it pretty much, you're simulating kind of like a poisonous state. So it kind of goes through your body and kills off fibromyalgia and candida, but it never worked for me. And I don't think it works really for anybody, honestly, but it left a bunch of scars, and those scars have all pretty much completely dissipated. And it's because of the dry fasting. The dry fasting will eat up any excess proteins. It'll take away moles that don't belong in the body, or anything that's like acne scars. You'll see when you go on these deep dry fasts, when you break it, you'll see that your scars will get lesser and lesser. It'll definitely work, but just kind of have fun with it. Go like, it might take like a 9 to 11 day dry fast to really see the skin autophagy. People think they're going to achieve a lot in these 3-day dry fasts. This is a foundational process for you to become your own doctor. This is just kind of like an understanding for yourself to go deeper on your own, or with me or whomever you want as a guide. But 3 days is not going to cure you of any disease. It might be good for a flu or a cold, a seasonal flu or cold. I want to go on a long water fast. Is it okay to interject it with a short-term dry fast of 3 days from time to time? So like during a dry fast, the reason why dry fasting is better than water fasting is because water fasting kind of flushes out your natural mineral composition. So your body will have this ability to go towards fats and proteins and carbohydrates more so than your own mineral content. So what that says is that your body's prioritizing keeping your mineral content intact and then utilizing these other capacities more so. So you want to, by water fasting, you're pretty much just flushing that, you're not giving your body a say in the matter. It's just flushing the mineral content out when your body's like, really want this for our vital organs. Your body loves minerals. That's how it is. So I think that you should go from dry fasting to water fasting, not from water fasting to dry fasting, okay? That's the reasoning why. So the next question is, my thighs are where I have my skin issues. Okay. Yeah, I think that, it makes a lot of sense that your thighs are where you have the skin issues, because that's a lot of the time where the toxicity resides. So you want to, do you know what? I'm going to share something really valuable with you guys right now. And I usually only tell this to people that really kind of want to come to me and they're like really suffering from like all sorts of like psoriasis and eczema, and they have nowhere to turn, like no doctor can help them. So if they're not willing to do like a long dry fast, a lot of people aren't willing to do a long dry fast, right? It's really hardcore. You got to go against the food addictions and all that stuff. So I usually, what is dry fasting doing? It's pretty much like an oxidative effect that's eating proteins, so that's why it's really beneficial. It dissolves all the diseases and sicknesses in the body. But in the time periods in between the dry fasting, I'll pretty much tell them to do something that's very